My mother didn't go to school. My mother was one of the gentlest human beings I have ever met up till today. My mother was not educated, but she carried herself with such daintiness. You respected her. My mother picked her battles. I tell you something. When I was younger, my dad was still trying to make it in life and become comfortable. We lived in a face me, I face you kind of house. You know what I mean. And we had many neighbors who also had many children, like my father and my mother had many children. Sometimes while we are playing, tempers will rise and we may fight with the other children. Or, well, generally we beat the other children. I think we were more rugged. So we beat them, then we will run home. We'll run into the house, and my mom usually, she's sitting on her chair by our door. We'll run in, and she'll just still be sitting there. And the mothers of those children will chase us down, enter our house. They won't even talk to my mother sitting there. Enter our house, go in there, and beat us up inside the house. And come out of the house and go, and my mom won't say anything. Not because she was a coward. She will wait for my dad to come home. And she will say to him, I don't want to disrespect you by fighting. So go and tell that woman who came here to, or tell her husband that his wife came into my house to beat my children. It should not happen again. That's the kind of person my mother was. But she was also married to a man who didn't care. At least not at the beginning. He cared because he had nothing. And she was the one standing with him. She was the one going to farm with him to pay his school fees. She was the one that stayed when he was going to school, and the white people that came to my village carried him and sent him to school, sent him to England, that. She was the one there. And one day, many years down the line, he decided he needed another wife. So he takes off. He decided he needed another wife. Not that day. He had been cheating and cheating and cheating. Papa, sure you are heaven, hearing me, no vex, but I have to tell them. He was cheating and cheating all over the place. Then one day, he decided to marry one of the women and bring them home. And things shifted in our house. Before he married her, he brought her to the house. And my mom, for the first time, I saw a lioness. She stood up. This
Welcome to Woman Arise. Listen and be blessed.
woman will not enter my house. You cannot bring this woman. My mother was very small. I'm taller than her. My dad was very tall. One day I asked her when I was young, I said, Mommy, why did you marry such a tall man? Look how short you are. She said, wait until you marry. And I married a very tall man too. And then when I was married, she said to me, why are you marrying a very tall man? All right, so she stood in front of him. And the woman he brought in was almost as tall as my dad. She was big and beautiful. And my dad, for the first time in my life and in my mother's life, lifted up his hand and slapped my mother. She was pregnant with my youngest brother. He hit her and her nose began to bleed. I was 10 years old. I will never forget that. I remember what my mother was wearing. I remember where she was standing in our house. I remember the look on my father's face when he realized he had slapped this woman. But his pride won't let him back down. And he told my mother, for daring to defy me. Then, that child my mother was giving birth to was number 10. My mom had 11 children. Some didn't survive. The first two I didn't meet. So, he told her to go get her bags and leave. Pack your things and get out of my house. And my mom turned with the blood on her nose and went to pack her things. She took the little girl she had brought from the village that was living with us. She said, let me take her back to her parents. And she took my little, forgive me, she wasn't pregnant with my little brother. She was pregnant with the last child, Abigail. So she took Timothy, who was about 2 years old then, and she was pregnant with Abigail, and she had the little girl. She packed her bags and she went outside. She was trying to get a vehicle. Now when he hit her and told her to pack her things and leave, he left with the woman. The rest of us, life ended. We stood there, and the trauma and the terror and the fear. We didn't know what was happening. Our parents had never fought before, never been violent. And suddenly this thing was jammed down our throats in a moment. Now my mother has been asked to go. She's packing her bags. What's happening to the rest of us? And my mom went downstairs and was looking for a vehicle. We were standing on the balcony upstairs crying, looking at my mom. And my dad came back. When he came back and saw her with her things in front of the house, he drove past. We didn't know where he went. My mother got a taxi, got to the motor park. My dad was a vehicle inspection officer, VIO. It's not the type you have today. Then VIOs were like gods. And he went to the park and told every driver in that park, there's a woman coming pregnant with a little boy and a little girl. Any driver that takes her will lose his license. So he told her to go, and he took from her the power to go. My mother stood in that park and nobody would take her. She left and went to outside so she could find the ones that were just driving past. Anyone she was able to stop, somebody will run from the park. If you carry this woman, your license is gone. And and they would drive past. My mother got frustrated and sat on her box. Then my dad drove back to the park and told her, enter the car. He carried the box, put it in the car, carried and brought her back home. There was no apology. There was no remorse. There was no shame. There was more victimization. Because now he was behaving like he did her a favor by bringing her back. There's a place for staying when marriage becomes a death trap. There's a place for staying. Those places are few, and they are usually from a direct command from God. The example I have is Prophet Hosea. God said to him, go and marry a prostitute. When I saw Pastor Tolu's interview and I saw comments, I was just laughing. How convenient it is to sit with your tiny little phone and be typing nonsense that you haven't walked through. I wonder what social media would have said about Hosea then. No, hey, he cannot be a prophet of God. This one, he cannot be God speaking. Marry prostitute. Gonorrhea, HIV. He's a false prophet. He brought a prostitute to his house. She left him and went back to the men. God said, go and bring her back. He went and brought her back. She left again. God said, go and pay money and buy her back. Prophet of God marrying a prostitute that is not repentant. There's a place for staying. It's usually warfare. God will ask such a person to stay because there is war to be fought or there is a message to be passed across. But there are not plenty. All the other ones that are doing, like Mama Oshika said, Father Lord, if I sent myself, have mercy on me. Many of the people who are staying sent themselves. God did not ask you to stay. Anything that will strip you of personhood is not godly. And abusive marriages do that. They strip you of your sense of personhood, strip you of value. And what is the most heartbreaking is that we sit down and we accept it. It is my cross. Who told you that is what the cross means? I looked at my mom that day and I made a silent vow. See, let me tell you, some of our brokenness comes from watching those broken relationships. We become broken like that too. I made up my mind. I said, no man will treat me this way. I will never take this rubbish from any man. Now, the tragedy of staying when you shouldn't, or there is a way to stay and it is